Welcome back, people. Malt Patriot here. Serious topic today. So I'm just going to start off by saying shout out to everybody. I won't be shouting out anybody by name. And also I'm going to refrain from cussing as best I can. You all know I like to do that quite often, but I figured for the seriousness of the information we're going over, I should at least do my best to respect that information and, you know, act accordingly. So, anyway. So, up until this past month, well, this month here of July, it's been common play for people to be posting 22-a-day videos. If you don't know what that is, it's the rate at which veterans commit suicide each day. Well, it turns out that at the beginning of July, new studies were released, new information was compiled, and it was posted on the internet and other places that the true number is 20 a day. And before you start celebrating thinking, hey, that's a victory, you know, that's 2 less veterans a day committing suicide. No, it's not one. I think even 1 veteran is just too many. But it's because the 22 a day was compiled a while back with many holes in the information that was the studies and, you know, all the data that was collected. It wasn't complete. This new 20 a day, it's still not complete, but it's based off of better intel, all right? Because the old numbers, the 22 a day, right, that was taken from 20 states without containing full military records from the Department of Defense, okay? The 20 a day now is from the newest study that's taken 4 years to compile, where they went through from 1979 to 2014 and got 50 million veterans records and put all that together. That's according to the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, excuse me. So these numbers are much more reliable, and yes, I did make a little spreadsheet to go off of. So, you know, some of you can say, oh, teleprompter reading idiot. I don't care. For something like this, I want to make sure that when I give you the numbers, they're right. Because the situation calls for accuracy, or the best accuracy I could myself, you know, find through research, all right? So, like I said, 1979 to 2014. Well, there's 20 a day. If you want to put that into perspective, that means in 2015, about 7,300 veterans committed suicide, and we're on track to do the same this year. If you were to break that down into the 20 a day for, say, July here, that means in the month of July, 620 veterans will commit suicide. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable by Malt Patriot standards. It should be by yours as well. It should be by the world's. And listen, before some of you go into the comments, and again, freedom of speech stands on this channel, but before you go into the comments and say, well, we weren't supposed to be in Iraq, that was a war that we were... Hey, I know all that, all right? I'm talking about just the suicide stuff, or at least I'm going to do my best just to stay on track with that, okay? I understand we shouldn't have been in those wars to begin with. It was, you know, wars that were based on lies. I understand these things. But we're trying to keep it in context of the people that are being affected, not the governments and crap, all right? Although I appreciate you at least in knowing those, you know, that type of information, because there's a lot of people out there that are oblivious to it. So anyway, getting back to what the meat of this video is supposed to be about. From 2001 to 2014, the rate of civilian suicides rose by 23.3%, all right? In that same time period, veterans rose over 32%, which is actually puts us, puts us veterans, those of you who have served and myself, at a 21% higher risk of committing suicide than your standard civilians who have never served. I mean, we're not supposed to be at war. Anyway, like I said, trying to keep on topic here. What's even more startling about this, because remember, these numbers and these percentages and stuff I'm giving to you, turns out that they're pretty much only based on mostly men. All right, statistics on men who were veterans. What I found out though, because I was trying to find the numbers for how many veterans have committed suicide, and those numbers have yet to be released. Those statistics and things are supposedly going to be due out in a few weeks. I couldn't find any full-on, facts there, but I did, from the information I could find, I found two interesting points. From the same time frame of 2001 to 2014, women veterans, or female veterans, they're committing suicide at a rate of 85% more than they were before then. 85% for female veterans. Can you believe that? They've risen 85%. Yeah, I just said it 3 times because that's crazy. And now, while they don't exactly have the numbers, keep this one in mind because I found this one and I highlighted it to make sure that I didn't forget it. Women veterans are committing, this is what's believed based off of the numbers and things that they're already running, women veterans are committing suicide at almost the same rate as men. So if you look at it as the 20 a day is just, solely off of men, because that's sort of what it looks like the data is actually saying, that means women are right there with us. 18, 19, I think would be what'll end up being the number on that. These are our women, people. These are, and they've risen 85% from 2001 to 2014. That's insane. That is insane. Now, something that doesn't surprise me. When I read it, I figured I should throw this in there because I don't think it'll surprise most of you either. Out of all of the data collected so far from the 2001 to 2014 time frame, 70% of all the people who've committed suicide have not sought any type of help. From hotlines or the VA or anything else. And can you really blame them at that point? I mean, well, let me specify. Through VA services, not hotlines and stuff like that, although we'll get into that in a minute, but through VA services. Any of you who have been watching the news over the past few years know the VA hospitals, and I can verify this for at least Southern California. I got a few other veterans that can verify this. The VA hospitals in Southern California suck. They just treat you like a number. So why would you want to go and tell them that you're having suicidal thoughts? It's bull crap. It's hard not cussing. Anyway. So, and not just to make this video nothing but facts, percentages and all that stuff. You gotta understand, we're gonna move on from that and just, talk about other stuff like PTSD. Because there's a lot of things that are causing these suicides, alright, among the veterans. But the biggest offender of this is PTSD. If you don't know what PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder, It wreaks havoc on people, okay? I mean, it messes with you big time. It really does. It causes sleepless nights. It causes that fight or flight mode. Most of you probably know what I'm talking about when I say that. It's got an actual name, but that's what I've always called it. It gives you extreme, levels of stress, tension, all those things, and it's bad. Depression. It's real bad. It runs circles around your mind, and it can turn good men into bad men real fast. Especially because the people that are dealing with it, the people that go over to Iraq, Afghanistan, fight these wars, they come home, and they're coming home with emotional, physical, mental scarring because of those wars. And they don't have to deal with it, because even though we've got these hotlines and things that you can call, it's if you're talking to somebody who has never served and you have these problems already, it's like you're talking to a wall, because they don't understand. Yeah, they can sympathize, but they don't understand. And that's a big problem, and we have yet to figure out how to fix that one. And so they're keeping all these emotions built up, because there's plenty of them out there that are ashamed too. They feel like, the world doesn't care. That's a big one. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But they feel like the world doesn't care, the world's forgotten about them. And you know what? Honestly, the truth is, in many instances, they have. Nobody cares about you when you're out of the military. They only care about what you're doing while you're there to ensure their safety and whatnot. So they're letting these feelings build up inside of them. There's rage and, anger and hurt and sadness, to the point where what happens? They end up becoming alcoholics, big-time alcoholics. I've seen it firsthand. Heavy on the drugs, prescription medication, all those things. And while their life starts to go downhill, because when you've got that PTSD and you're not handling it the right way, and you don't feel like there's anybody you can talk to, it only gets worse. It keeps getting worse and getting worse and getting worse, until they end up getting things like DUIs, which that doesn't help at all. And once they start getting into like trouble and stuff with the law because of what the condition that they have, that's when they just finally say screw it, and life is over for them. But I wish it wasn't like that. I really do. Because life is precious. All life is precious, whether you think so or not. And honestly, even to the craft beer people that might be watching this, taking all of our beef and stuff aside, if you're a veteran or anything like that, same thing goes out to you. If you have any of these issues, if you got PTSD or some of the other things, therapy has been proven to work. Talk to other veterans. Veterans always, I've noticed this, veterans are always willing to help other veterans. I'm willing to help other veterans, absolutely. This flagging stuff isn't just for show, people. I respect, I support our veterans and our active roster of service members, men and women. All right? It is not the end of the world. Even when you've hit rock bottom, you can still build yourself back up. Great men have done it before in the past, and all of you are great men and women. PTSD is not the end of the world. It can be fixed. Like I said, there's therapy. Reach out to people. Start talking. Make connections. Talk to other people that have PTSD. There's web pages on it. There's Facebook pages on it. There are ways to fight it and to recover from it. Does it mean you're not going to still have those memories from what happened back in Iraq and Afghanistan, or other places that we're currently occupying? No. But you know what? Your life matters, okay? And I'll tell you a little personal story on how I know this for a fact. The guy I'm going to talk to you about real quick here, he was not in the military. He didn't have PTSD. He did have he was like a manic depressant or something. And once his girlfriend left him, this was years and years back when I was still in the military, once his girlfriend left him, he felt like there was nothing left for him. He actually, even though he had friends, he thought that nobody cared about him and all this other stuff. He had hit rock bottom. His woman just left him, and he decided that he was done with this world. So he committed suicide, thinking nobody cared. I went to his funeral. You know what I saw? About 200 people that cared. And he did it anyway. Same goes for everybody out there who has PTSD. This condition and all that stuff that you might have, it can be fought, but just like with everything else humanity does, minus a couple of people that have done things by themselves, we always accomplish great things in numbers. You can beat PTSD in numbers. Don't let it take from you something as precious as life, all right? Anyway, you can't see it, but we're at the swell. This one is dedicated to the family members of those who have committed suicide, who had probably undiagnosed PTSD, and to those that are currently suffering with it and going at it alone. You are not alone.